Did the new review come in? Naveed sent his review. Okay, it's in my mail? Yeah, okay. Let me check. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Which movie is it? Oh, fuck me.
Wait! True!
As this movie started playing, I kept asking myself, why does a live action version of Mulan exist? And why are Disney making live action versions of the animated stories when they should be making animated versions of the live action movies? By the end of the runtime, I didn't have answers to either question. Mulan, the most expensive film ever directed by a woman, was first meant to come out in theaters in March 2020 and was expected to mark a new turn for Disney. Unlike its other live-action remakes, Mulan 2.0 was billed as darker and more serious, a movie just as much for the parents as for the kids who'd be watching it. Well, it failed. A bad movie I could forgive, but a mediocre remake of a good movie? That's like dishonoring one's family. Trouble strikes in the Orient dynasty as Rurans start attacking garrisons along the Silk Route, slaughtering everyone and disrupting all trade and sending the empire into disarray. Led by Bori Khan, a ruthless man who is fooled by vengeance for his slain father, Bori Khan Sr., at the hands of Emperor Jet Li. He will stop at nothing until he has spilled the Emperor's blood by his own hand. In deciding to fight back, Emperor Jet Li orders the assembly of the largest fighting Chinese force comprising of one male fighter from each family in the land. Fa Mulan, played by Li Yufei, on the other hand, is a loyal, extraordinary, free-spirited girl who wishes to do more than just bring honor to her family by marrying into a respectable family. At the beginning of Niki Caro's remake of Mulan, Mulan's father Zhao, ploughed by Zima, tells her that she must hide her gift away. He means Mulan's Qi, her life force, which is particularly strong but which, in Chinese society, is only useful to warriors and thus to men. The message is clear: stay in the kitchen, make sandwiches, and then get married, supposedly for your own good. As in the 1998 animated Disney film, and before it, the Chinese legend it is based on, Mulan doesn't follow her father's advice and proves that girls can fight by dressing up as a boy and joining the army. From the very beginning of the movie, you are made to understand the polarity of the two characters, the hero, driven by loyalty, and the villain, driven by revenge. The live action takes a lot of cues from the animation and stretches them. While enjoyable in places, it mostly falls flat. The story had more room to breathe, but at the expense of pacing, I feel. We got to spend more time with Mulan's life and feel the pressure of the impending danger at her doorsteps. Some would argue it's too much world building, but to me it felt necessary since after the world building no more explanations are needed and the viewer can be fully immersed in the movie. There are no talking animals in this realistic take on Mulan by Disney. Yup, realistic. But no, sadly, no talking animals. Instead, we get a magical phoenix bird that acts as a deus ex machina for whenever Mulan needs it, and a murderous villainous witch capable of shape-shifting into anyone and killer fighting skills. But no talking animals. Hashtag justice for Mushu. The original Mulan didn't reach the heights of an Aladdin or a Lion King, but at least it didn't try to fit its tale of female empowerment into a political agenda. The original also had a clear idea of who its audience would be, and although that meant a war film without much warring, it also provided a healthy dose of humor that helped its predictable plot move along. Striving to satisfy both the Western and Asian markets, Mulan falls somewhere between mystification and realism, replacing the original film's musical numbers with more genre-appropriate wuxia action sequences, with characters flying and walking on walls. Yet those are just as unimpressive. The uninspired choreographies don't have space to breathe thanks to fast-paced editing style that confuses excitement with agitation. With fantastic wide scenery shots and massive sets clearly intended for theaters, the film is very beautiful to look at. With extremely gorgeous VFX shots, the color contrast of good and evil is very distinguishable here. While everything else is portrayed in a very colorful tone, the villains appear in darker shades, like literally black everything. Black clothes, black horses, black weapons. It's not a bad thing, even though it's a little bit on the nose, but it's fun to point it out. Like I said, the action in the movie leaves much to be desired. The drawn-out world building at the beginning took its toll upon the action scenes in the movie, and despite having lavish battle setups in the veins of Lord of the Rings or at the very least Braveheart, and having short instances of brilliance, the action eventually falls short due to weak choreography and barrage of jump cuts. They barely have any long unbroken takes. Another thing that kind of went nowhere was the concept of Qi. Think of it as a lesser, incompetent sibling of the Force. They really talk it up a lot, but it barely has anything to show for it. Lazy dialogues is a big problem with the movie. A big production like this should have better spoken dialogues. At times it feels like someone at the dialogue department fell asleep at the keyboard or was trying to compress the amount of spoken dialogue to accommodate the actors. I don't know what happened there. All I'm saying is a beautifully shot movie like this needed better dialogues to convey the emotions better. Overall, it's a fantasy movie with rich visuals. We see Mulan run away from home a spirited girl but return as a woman who's seen the horrors of battle, more mature, humble, and level-headed. The story, in my opinion, felt composed, as dragged out as it was, although charging already subscribed customers $29.99 and releasing a boring remake digitally probably wasn't the right way to go for Disney. With better action, much more refined dialogues, and better time management, this movie could have been so much better, or at least be able to justify why it exists in the first place.